Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers, and this morning I'm looking at a book which has come to me from Cambridge Scholars Publishing. It's called Lloyd George and the Appeasement of Germany from 1919 to 1945, and it's written by Stella Rudman. Stella's a colleague of mine and a colleague of a friend of mine, and that's really where I came to know about the book. Some interesting stuff written on the back and a very interesting picture at the front. You've got a very useful detail in the body copy with extensive footnoting, which I think is very helpful to show the research, and a very detailed index at the back. I was very impressed with this book when I read it, because certainly to my mind it looks in great detail in the sort of various parts of the chapter headings at the way in which everything came together after the Treaty of Versailles, with all of the problems that we had to put up with, which led of course directly to the Second World War and aftermath. Now we've given it a review on the web, which we've called Lloyd George and Appeaser. Bet your father didn't know that, or your grandfather either. So just a little bit of levity to start the proceedings off. We all know that great men have feet of clay, but as revealed in this extensively and meticulously researched historical study by Stella Rudman, Lloyd George managed to immerse himself deeper into the mire than many have been led to suppose. Revelations about his womanizing have been legion, but apparently there's a whole corpus of research material out there which indicates that he was, how shall we put it, not entirely unsympathetic to Adolf Hitler. The book's readable and absorbing, and it focuses on a period of Lloyd George's life which apparently has been largely overlooked by historians. It does admirably what all doctoral studies should do, and that is explore avenues of inquiry where few, if any, other observers have ventured before, thus revealing truths hitherto only dimly perceived or not perceived at all. And again, that I think is the beauty of this from the point of view of people who perhaps have a relatively general knowledge of the period, but would like to know a bit more detail. The book focuses on the peculiar mindset known as appeasement, as well as the character and attitudes of Lloyd George himself, who manifestly was an exponent of it. Although he never returned to office after 1922, Lloyd George remained something of a formidable force in British politics for another 20 years until he died in 1945. Obviously he was very well acquainted with people such as Churchill. It does him no credit, of course, that he seems to have been the only one of many in the British establishment at the time, even up to the outbreak of war in 1939, who thought Hitler wasn't such a bad bloke really, and that he had reasons for thinking and for his behaviour, that one could do business with him, etc., etc., ad nauseum. The name of Chamberlain, of course, crops up regularly here, as you might expect. All this is brought out in this quite fascinating book, which resonates rather uncomfortably with the times in which we now live. The following is literally one of hundreds of examples of the author's research into her subject, which shed light on Lloyd George's innermost feelings regarding the bizarre and dysfunctional Hitler. Quote, "I have never doubted the fundamental greatness of Adolf Hitler as a man, even in moments of profound disagreement with his policy." He wrote that in 1937. One wonders here how you can express admiration, Lloyd George's word, for someone who's in such rapturous terms when we are in profound disagreement with his policy. It does seem to be a bit at odds. Anyway, through copious research, Dr. Rudman has actually gone into original source material, which is shown in the bibliography, which is detailed of course, and she gradually reveals the psychology behind Lloyd George's appeasement of Germany and examines its consequences during the crucial 26-year period of history which this book covers. The results of course provide important insights for learners, historians and the general public alike into the many factors which can propel nations into war, such as the one we had from 1939 to 1945. Whether we learn any lessons from these events of the fairly recent past, only time and historic evaluation will tell. And that's really why Stella Rudman's book, I think, is so important. So thank you to Stella and to CSP for an excellent contribution. Bye-bye.